Professor Victor here, and we're doing something a little bit different today. We're at WonderCon in Anaheim, California, and we are going to go check out all the cosplayers and all the cool like comic book stuff and action adventure and fantasy and anime stuff, and hopefully find a little bit of horror stuff to talk to you guys about too. So if we do, I'm going to try to make a little bit of a video out of it. So stay tuned, we'll see what we find. This may be where we wind up for lunch.
That place, the doner kebab. It's German Turkish style.
Yeah, it's probably right up your alley.
It is doner kebab.
There's a lot of options though. Like that's probably not going to be for me, but because I don't want to eat the meat. But I'm sure I can get like a grilled cheese or something like that around here. Up there, that'll work. See if there's any cool hats, since I always wear a hat for the channel.
Yeah.
Come on, where's the Friday the 13th hat? But this is where it's at with all the independent artists and stuff. This is the cool stuff. I should spend some money here. Alright, here's some good stuff. Horror DVDs, you know that's my jam. Blu-rays too, that's not as much my jam. But we're gonna check this out for a little while. Get some good stuff. So they've got this pretty fun photo op for the Until Dawn movie. I'm gonna go ahead and get in line. It's a very short line. Get my picture taken. It's cheesy, but whatever. I'm gonna do it for the channel. It's gonna be fun.
There you go.
What's the new one, Romulus?
We watched it. Well, we watched it over. We watched Aliens, and then yeah.
I kind of like these little different sip cups. Not a lot of horror stuff I've seen so far, but there's some horror cups. That's cool. There's some good cosplay here. That's pretty good. I do like these G.I. Joe stuff over here. The Cobra Commander helmet's pretty cool. So this is pretty good, and surprisingly, this looks strange, lemonade, but it's pretty good. So I like that too. So not too bad for the lunch. Expensive, overpriced, but not too bad. So if you know me, you know that this had to happen because this looks amazing. Got to give it that shake. Yep, this was exactly what the doctor ordered. This stuff is delicious. Look at that. know what they're waiting in line for, but I'm not waiting in that line.
She's like, I was like, oh god, it's gonna go.
God, I love me some Star Wars cosplay.
That's it? No, it is 5%.
Still better than the H2O mask. All right, we're headed over to the Until Dawn panel. We're gonna check it out, see what they have to say, see if they can convince me to see this movie. Frankly, I'm probably gonna see it anyways, but I don't know anything about the game. I don't really know much about it other than the trailer. So I'm hoping I can learn a little bit more and get a little bit more excited for it. I'll let you know.
No one's more excited than me because I was like, I've been dying to do horror movies for so long. Like, it's my favorite genre. And you know, after Shazam, I was like, I need to do another horror movie. But there wasn't time because we had to do Shazam 2 before those damn kids grew up. So then after Shazam 2, it was like, okay, I really need to do a horror movie. Because, you know, you can only do family stuff for so long, and, you know, I have a lot of good shit down. But, so I was like trying to think, okay, I have all this horror in me. What kind of horror movie do I want to make? You know, like, because there's so many different subgenres.
Who among you do you think is likeliest to survive in an Until Dawn scenario?
Michael.
Oh,
okay. I was gonna say Belle, probably.
No chance. I think David.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say that David and Michael. David's the most acclimated with horror, but Mikey's like a jack of all trades, so you can sort it out.
Mikey would like make friends with all the monsters and
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. He would stay in hell, but he would be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hey man, you need a band-aid or something on your
Yeah, he'd find a bright side.
Well, I came from it as a, I played the game, as soon as it came out, like a gamer. So I came at it from a fan perspective. So what I didn't want to do though is just try to replicate the same experience I had sitting on my couch and playing the game. So it was really about expanding the story and the universe, and while still bringing elements of the game into the movie.
I actually felt sort of the opposite. Like,
Ooh.
I thought it was such a luxury to, when you're being chased by a monster, you can look behind you and there's a monster chasing you. Like, there was no, I wasn't a green screen or a tennis ball. I was screaming and looking at a real monster's face, and it felt so visceral for me. And I actually feel like as an actor, it was such a treat to be so, it made my job so much easier to really be able to just genuinely react to how terrifying these Wendigos are.
Yeah, because green screen acting is a real skill in itself.
Very much so, and I don't know if I have it. So I've never done it. Cross my fingers. You
could do it.
Thanks.
Come on.
She can definitely
Whatever.
Agreed.
I hope so. Maybe one day I'll get the opportunity. I hope, but it was really amazing, and also just to like, as an actor, someone that like just loves movies in general and appreciates like the art of filmmaking, like we all do. I just also felt honored to like watch the process of practical effects, like all these artists getting together and working so hard to make this incredible, intricate work. It was just like a real gift to watch all these moving parts, and how big a production is outside of you was really highlighted on this, I think.
For sure. So we shot it in Budapest, and we shot in a lot of like real locations. There's these tunnels underneath Budapest. Sort of like
Oh, no,
hundreds
thank you,
of
sir.
years old. Yeah, but it got us so much like production value for free because it looks like a horror movie, like it's like abandoned, and it's always cold down there. Like we shot it in the middle of summer, but down there it was always cold. You'll see actors' breaths, and like that's something you have to pay a lot of extra for when you shoot it on soundstage. So it wasn't comfortable, but it looks great. And we shot like in this like abandoned house, and, with like walls, wallpaper peeling, and
Oh my God, that was like a real thing.
A lot of asbestos.
Yeah. No, I mean, you come home after a day of shooting and blow your nose, and it's just completely black. So you're like, this probably isn't good.
Yeah.
But I mean,
The final product looks great.
Yeah.
But what's some of the inspiration from other horror movies that you took into this in certain ways?
I mean, it's more than just like a specific movie. It's taking the tropes of different subgenres of horror and using them to our hopefully great effect in this movie. So it's the when you're looking at a slasher movie, you're using the POV, the shaky cam, things like that, and then you're moving the paranormal, you get the creepy floorboards, the rocking chair. You're using these things that you've seen in different subgenres of horror, and then kind of throwing them into a big fucking stew. Well, I think one of the fun things about this is when people who have seen the movie, they throw out so many different references because there's so many different horror movies in one. So you have, Paranormal Activity, you have Scream, you have
Evil
Friday the
Dead.
13th, you have Evil Dead, you have Cabin in the Woods, you have, so it's kind of all those.
She has this weird confidence that she'll be able to watch it. There's like no chance. I mean, like my mom
Wait, that's so
started to
funny.
read the script and she was like, "You're gonna die," and I was like, repeatedly.
Oh my God.
It's fun. It's really fun. It's fun to die on camera. It's fun to work with a super talented prosthetics team and a number of departments: hair, makeup, stunts, props, everybody. David's direction. Everything compiles to a still moment where you hold your breath with your eyes open, and there's blood dripping from everywhere. It's really fun, and watching that reminds me of like how long it takes to shoot these things and how many like different setups for each sequence. How many different people work on a 2-second shot? I know I'm sure David could speak on this all day, but it's really rewarding to see. All the techniques that it takes to bring a horror film together, whether it's like sound design, the way that the film is cut and colored, and all of the elements that we put in on set. Everything that happens before and after performance, is married in this way where it's super immersive and it's really fun to watch and it's fun to die.
I mean, I've been wanting to work with him for a very long time because we're both from Sweden, so he's a big hero in Sweden. Where we like, get to see like, oh,
So are you.
Yes. I'm the new Peter. No, but you've seen him in Fargo and Armageddon and John Wick and everything. It's at the pride of Sweden. So I actually wanted to have him in my first movie, Lights Out, because we needed someone to play the father of the family. And the studio was like, no, he can't, like he's way too creepy and weird to play like just a family guy. So
What are you trying to do to Maria Bello? You can't do that to her.
Yeah, no, so I've been waiting for almost 10 years, and this was finally the chance because, well, he had to be in the movie, right? So I got to write him a letter in Swedish and like, please do this, it's gonna be great. And he was very enthusiastic and said, especially since I was Swedish, he was like, oh, we can talk shit about everyone on set. It's a very
And
fun.
they did.
Gia, I love your story about his quote one day.
Yes, and then I'm gonna request that Ella talk about the Hello Kitty. So Peter is like such a wonderful and strange man, and I was sitting in the green room reading some scripts for some other thing, and then he just walks in and stares me very deep in the eyes and goes, "A 15th century French monk once said a great quote, and I read it when I was 15 and I've never forgotten it since. The darkest part of our eye is what sees the light." And then he
Jeez, really?
I was just holding my phone, looking up at where he had been, going, yeah,
Man, how did you remember that quote like
I mean,
that
like,
spot
how
on?
would you not? When Peter like delivers
that's
it
awesome.
deep into your eyes,
You're
it's
like,
hard to forget.
toughest part of the
Like he
eye.
demands so much attention, and I was just so taken back. It's
So
a very
cool.
memorable moment.
He's I mean, I'm sure maybe this was known, but he's quite a big Hello Kitty fan.
Yeah.
And so I met him, on the first day I met him, I was like, you know, like I hope we get along, like he's this, you know, like legend and kind of intimidating, and he walks in with a Hello Kitty bucket hat and a Hello Kitty backpack.
Amazing.
And his costume, and I was like, nice to meet, we're gonna be friends. And yeah, he's as cool as you think he will be, and cool.
He's also been a fan of Hello Kitty since like the 80s.
Oh no, he's like,
Big time Hello Kitty.
he's a part of the community. of Hello Kitty.
In the Sanrio world.
Yeah, no, deep.
Our backpack is OG.
Yeah, it's a really old backpack.
It's the real
It's not miles off.
As his wrap gift, I tried to get him something Hello Kitty, but did not get to Hungary on time. It was, I think it was delivered like last week. But whoever gets it, I hope they enjoy.
It's always interesting. It's always kind of scary for us, right? I mean, I don't think anybody takes adapting these games into movies and shows and things like that more seriously than we do. We put as much thought into it as anybody in the world. And my producing partner Assad and I always thought this could be a great franchise, and we could help build out the world of Until Dawn along with the game team, which is kind of a new, unique experience for us. So it's been a joy to watch it come to life. Really, Gary, somebody's one of my very good friends. Roy Lee, the other producer, another one of my good friends. The work that they've done over the years is incredible in this space. So just getting to work with them and see how they, operate and put one of these together. And I think any great movie is like a snowball, right? You start off and it's good, and then you keep picking up more and more momentum and size. So then comes David, then comes the cast, and just everything really has worked, and we think it's so much fun, and we're so proud of it, and we can't wait to hear what the fans think, is ultimately, you the fans are the ones who are going to decide if it worked or not for us. So I'm just dying to see what you think, because we love it, and I just can't commend everybody up here enough for how much thought, time, effort, and just wonderful ideas and talent they put into making this come to life.
Well, after that panel, I'm actually more excited to see this movie. I think it looks like a lot of fun. They kept saying it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's kind of hard not to get caught up in how much they seem to like making the movie. Their excitement is infectious. I'm more excited for the movie now. So yeah, the kids using were fun. They talked about practical effects. They talked about mixing a bunch of different kind of subgenres into one movie. That's really intriguing to me. So even if I don't know anything about the game, I think I'm going to wind up enjoying the movie quite a bit. So I was interested in seeing it. I was going to go see it anyways, but now I'm actually kind of excited for seeing it. So hopefully my expectations don't get raised too much and it's a disappointment. But overall, yeah, I think this one is exciting. I think the panel increased my excitement for it. So we'll see how that goes. We're seated for a new panel for the art of music in horror. I think this is going to be pretty interesting. I love me a good horror score. I think this is going to be, I have high hope for this one. This can be pretty interesting and say some interesting stuff. So I'm going to cover it and let you guys know what I think of it.
I'm excited to introduce to you guys. Let's see who we got. Dara Taylor. Say hi, Dara. Woo! All right, guys. So this is about music horror, obviously, and what I really want to talk about first of all is, are you guys fans of horror, or were you fans of horror before you got involved in filmmaking, or did you become a fan after you started? We'll start with Charlie.
Who, me?
Yeah, we'll start with you.
I admittedly was not like super deep into the genre, so when I started scoring the first Saw movie, and so it was really kind of working with people like James Wan and Gwinnell who were very deep to the genre and had a very deep knowledge of, you know, Italian slasher flicks from the 70s and that sort of thing. That helped to educate me, and they really helped to put in front of me the kind of things that were influential to them, and that helped to shape my journey as well. So I wasn't as deep to it as some probably in this room are.
Yeah. I grew up on metal music, so from that, you know, in the 90s when through the whole British video nasty invasion. And so yeah, I mean, horror was like horror and metal and anything dark and weird and things that my parents didn't like, basically informed everything that I do today.
Dara, what about you? Were you a fan of horror before you got involved in the scoring?
I think kind of tangentially, but you know, honestly, it scared me a little. But I think once you kind of learn how the sausage is made and realize how much some of the tension is created by the music, you're like, oh, I'm in charge. They can't hurt me. I think I then became a lot more interested in, you know, all the horror around me.
Yeah. What about you, Harry? Were you a fan of the genre before?
He created the genre.
I was gonna say.
The horror films scare the hell out of me, and that's probably why I was good at it. I'm not a big fan of, not a big fan of horror, I'm a big fan of film music, period. But yeah, I think the music, the horror films always just scared the hell out of me, and it's probably why I guess I'm good at it.
The idea of the way that the music was going to work was, you know, we wanted to, it was about it kind of functioning in the way that it's not supposed to. So I know that Ari has taglined this film, maybe publicly, I'm not sure, but to me definitely said it's the Wizard of Oz for perverts. So we were kind of looking at it, and you know, a lot of references for me were like Alice in Wonderland or early Disney movies, or like, you know, Nelson Riddle and like early kind of capital stuff, and kind of using that. Like I always find like opposition is really scary. So if you have something that looks really unsettling with something that is pretty or, you know, not very discordant, sometimes that can double the scare factor.
I want to know if that time within the band really influences your work as a composer.
And it was part of the reason that James and Lee found me for the first Saw movie was because of some obscure remixes that I had done of Nine Inch Nails that were like only available in European CD singles and stuff like that. And they kind of knew, I mean, I already had a background in scoring, having worked underneath a composer before my years in Nine Inch Nails, so I kind of knew the process and the workflow and kind of how it was done. I wasn't strictly a refugee from a band, but James and Lee had put together a temp version of the music for the first Saw movie, using all kinds of stuff from records. They had pieces of these remixes that I had done, and they also had, at one point towards the end of the movie, they had like a Ministry song playing out of one speaker, and like Einstürzen and Neubauten, which is like clattering industrial metallic music playing out of the other speaker. And they definitely did not want sort of a conventional horror score or an orchestral type of score. They did want to have have a industrial and electronic feel to the kind of fabric of the score, but then at the same time it had to actually serve a purpose in some spots. Like towards the end, James really wanted it to feel as though the lights got switched on in the room and that last cue starts for the ending montage. And so that was, fortunately we had a game plan that we had this sort of roadmap that we wanted the score to dissolve and turn into this murky thing and then have this bright light switch moment. And using the years of Nine Inch Nails experience in terms of musical sound design and how to torture sounds with electronics in the studio, that definitely helped to be able to fulfill some of those moments when the music had to just get wrecked. And so I was able to, even though I had to do that score fairly quickly, I think it was about 5 weeks from start to finish, and did it while a record was being recorded in my other studio at the same time, so it was kind of squashed myself into a spare room at the studio to do it. But having that sort of having permission to be sonically destructive on the score allowed me to make use of some of the stuff that I had learned and attempted to perfect during the Nine Inch Nails years, for sure.
And when you are scoring a scene like this and you're hitting these kind of spook, kind of jump scare notes, is that like a director's note, or is that what you're feeling out in the scene, or how do you kind of get to that point with the scoring?
A little bit of both. I was taking some time figuring out which scene I wanted to do or wanted to send for this, and I think I wanted to do something that was a little more storytelling and atmosphere building rather than just like broad melodies, just because it felt fun for me. But yeah, a lot of that is a conversation earlier on with the director, Jess Thompson and I. We talked about kind of incorporating the voices of the three brides of Dracula pretty early on. So I hired the three singers and we did a lot of vocal work. So there's also, they're like the big vocal moments at the end, but then there are also these like little that go earlier on, and it's just kind of like, the other brides are kind of teasing her. She's this new girl, and they're kind of taunting her throughout the movie. So that was just, it's almost childlike. And then there are moments where, a lot of the vocals at the end throughout the movie are actually recorded backwards and then reversed to kind of create this other eerie sense to them. So it's, the human voice is something that's very familiar to all of us, but when you take it and kind of reverse it, it just makes it feel a little uncanny valley and you can't really tell why.
Oh, cool. And I would love to have you just start talking about creating that iconic noise, and when we hear it, we know something serious is going to happen.
Wow, no one's ever asked me that before. I wanted to make a comment because of all the 4 different pieces that you heard here, mine's kind of like a cartoon with machetes. They're all a little, do you notice how they're all completely different music? There was this grandiose, the first one, this grandiose thing. If you listen to the music by itself, you would never say, oh, that's from a horror film. And then Charlie's piece, powerful electronic, boom, boom, boom drums, Hers was silence. How powerful the silence was in that scene. And just those little whooshes and stuff like that, they work. A composer in a film, no matter what kind of film it is, you're a dramatist. You're trying to get the audience to feel what the director wants. And but I just thought, it also came up with the fact that when you're doing a horror film, all bets are off. You can do whatever you want. You can go effects and drums, you could go grandiose, you could go silence, you could make vocal sounds like you just asked. And recently bought a house in California. I mean, that score is 13 guys in a basement in New Jersey. So who knew what was going to happen? Now, what was the question? How did I come up with that?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm giving away any plot thing here, but late in the movie and real, one of the problems dramatically with Friday the 13th is there's a killer knocking off people like crazy. You never see the killer, you don't know who the killer is, and you don't find out until Reel 9, back in the days of reels. And so we're sitting around talking, and there's no money. We're trying to put food on the table. Anyway, there's a close-up of Mrs. Voorhees' mouth, Betsy Palmer, where it's a close-up of the mouth and it's like, kill her, mommy, and then it's her voice and then this little Jason's voice, back and forth. And I'm going like, she hears voices. So at the time I was studying a composer named Penderecki, which I highly ask you to go listen to because it's incredible music. And there was a choral piece where vowels in Polish, consonants are very 100 people just putting a T or a K at the end of a word. It was amazing. So I thought, kill her mommy. So I just took the K from kill and the M from mommy, and I went, and then we ran it through an echoplex, and it came out, and I bought a house in California.
Now, the timeline of Friday the 13th, what I want to try to get to was any Hitchcock films kind of inspirational in creating music of this?
Well, first of all, if you're going to score films, if you haven't been influenced by Hitchcock and Bernard Herrmann, you better start listening now because everybody has. And I was influenced, if you ask me, like, where did I get some things? There is some Hitchcock, but there's actually a lot more Jerry Goldsmith. What was the movie where they were selling the body parts? Coma, yes, thank you. Coma, there was a big influence of that. There was a big influence of Penderecki. A lot of this music is what they call aleatoric, in that it's free music. I didn't necessarily even write notes. I just let them play. It's sound, but made with instruments. When you think of horror, you're used to hearing something, and the movie will tell you what it is. I mean, like this big fire with the bear on fire, and there's a guy sitting there, and there's people, choir, and he wrote this wonderful, heroic, almost somewhat heroic kind of piece. But you see, it worked with that picture. What makes you afraid? What makes you afraid of something is more. It's in the picture. Dara. She let the visuals and the silence play. I love this. I almost want to see the whole picture because there's those moments you were pulled into the movie. You're pulled into the movie. What makes it scary? You remember when the lady appeared? Boom! That could easily be funny, but it's not. In that situation, it was scary. So your job as a composer is to get that drama correct, manipulate the audience in a way that the director and the producer want to have happen. So a lot of it's about expectations. Like you're sitting there and you go, this music is, it's making me? Why is it making me feel this way? Or what visually is making me uncomfortable? And for example, if we got up and we went out that door, you would expect it would take, I don't know, 25 seconds, 30 seconds. But what if it took like an hour and a half? It would be pretty funny. Carol Burnett show, remember the opening one with the slow? You know, that's really funny. But what if it only took a third of a second? That would be scary. You gotta watch comedy, scary. They're real close to each other. I'm sorry, I went off.
That's okay. What about you, Charlie? What scares you?
Little creepy crawler things that move fast, so I will not be scoring any sequels to Arachnophobia.
A blank sheet of paper. And I have to fill up. I think one thing, and you know, we're all talking about scraping cymbals and finding the sander in the garage. One of the fun things to do, if you're into sampling, and you hear something, you sample it, and a lot of times you go like, oh, that's a cool sample, and you have a keyboard where the real sample is on C, the middle C, but there's all kinds of good stuff way out here and way down here. It might just be I don't know, some sort of symbol thing or something here, like, you know, like a bowed symbol, like right here. But you go up like 3 octaves, man, that is some strange, squeaky stuff down there. And down at the bottom is, what is that? Well, it's that stupid symbol dropped down 3 octaves. So you're always playing around trying to find, you know, a sound that evokes what I'm trying to say. I bet you have this too. It's Bob Clearmountain. Oh, yeah. Do you have the thing where he took a lampshade and he took all of the stuff off the lampshade and just a wiry thing, and he's playing on a lampshade. Wow, what a cool sound, especially when you move it around the keyboard. I have a water tank and all kinds of crazy, just samples that right in the middle, they're nothing, and when you move them around, it's fun. It's like we were talking about, horror film, horror music, all bets are off. You can do whatever you want. If you're doing a TV drama, you're stuck with chord changes and melodies and all kinds of, you know, that kind of music stuff.
So that panel wound up being awesome. I did not know Harry Manfredini was going to be in that panel. I thought that was fantastic. The 4 composers had a lot of really cool stories and a lot of things that were interesting to say. Harry Manfredini, I could listen to that guy talk for an hour, 2 hours there. Like, he has cool stories, he's funny. They were all funny, they were all interesting people, so that was a real bonus, man. I did not know that was going to be so cool. It exceeded my expectations, so I hope you guys got to enjoy the clips that I showed about it. I didn't show the whole thing, obviously, but yeah, this one was worth seeing, and you know, I would definitely say it was probably the highlight of the day for me, Harry Manfredini. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call that one for now. Okay, I think that's gonna be a wrap for WonderCon 2025. Not a whole lot of horror content here tonight, but there's a couple of really cool things. I hope you enjoyed checking them out with me. For those of you who are fans of the channel, don't worry, we're gonna get back to our regularly scheduled programming. This is just kind of a one-off thing that I thought would be kind of a fun thing to do. I thought of it last minute and thought, why the hell not? So hopefully you enjoyed that, but I will see you guys next week with our normal videos. Until then, I'm just gonna say class dismissed.